Okay. He fell. I love him. Hi everyone.
Hi.
Today's video is going to be my birth story. My twin boys' birth story. That was about, what, 5 weeks ago now? Mm-hmm. Now, I have Will here because I know that I'm not going to remember everything correctly. It was a very traumatic experience for me. I was very sick, and I know that I'm going to have times off and all sorts of stuff. So that's why he's here in the video. And our twin boys are here in the video. Griffin, Sawyer. So I started showing signs of labor around 1, which means I started showing I was bleeding. And I've never seen that before. You know, I had bloody show and mucus, but this was blood. This was like spotting, like a period. And I was like, what the heck? Of course, I Googled it, and they said definitely call your provider, your doctor, and I did. And they said to come in. So we called my parents. They watched our older two, and we left for the doctors. I was having like sporadic contractions. I think I had a few on the way to the doctors, but nothing countable. Nothing happened. Got to the hospital. The nurse took me in to set me up for a non-stress test and did my blood pressure, and they couldn't find the baby's heartbeats, and they couldn't find...
They had a lot of trouble. They kept picking up the same heartbeat, so they weren't getting the 2 different heartbeats. Mm-hmm. And we were in the long time
process.
A lot of things.
Poor nurse. She felt really bad for her. She had a lot of trouble finding the heartbeats. Mm-hmm. But they were there. They knew they were there. They just couldn't get on the monitor for longer than a minute or 2, and they needed it for like 20 minutes mm-hmm. for a non-stress test to be accurate. As it's happening, my blood pressure starts going up, and it's really weird. Like, it's okay when I first get there. It's high, but it's not crazy. Mm-hmm. And then an hour later, less than an hour later, it was high for me. I'm usually in like the 120s, and I was in the 160s plus, and it was crazy. And they were freaking out. All the doctors were freaking out. The nurses were freaking out. My doctor finally showed up, and she's like, "Your blood pressure's not good. I need to check you and see where you are." And
we're not gonna let you go until your blood pressure goes down.
Yes, and I knew that wasn't gonna happen because I knew that I knew I wasn't well, and I knew that things were not. These babies had to come out. So she checks me. I am 5 centimeters dilated. I think I'm 90% effaced, which was normal for my previous visit. So that was disappointing. I remember being a little upset. And then she goes, "You know what? I'm gonna strip your membranes," without even asking me. By the way, she just did it, and.
I thought she was checking you, and your water just broke.
Mm-mm. She said, I'm gonna strip your membranes," and that's when it happened. We have different... Hey, I could be wrong. I don't know now. That's what I remember.
I thought she was just checking you, and then
she checked me.
It just happened.
My water broke. Her fingers were there. Something happened. I don't know if she popped me or if it just popped, and it was a ton of water, like crazy. It's a lot of water, ladies. Like, whoa. And I'm waiting for the contractions to hit hard because when my water broke with my daughter, within it felt like minutes, it went from 0 to 1,000, and it was bad pain. And this time, that didn't happen. Yeah. It was not bad at all. Don't know why. No idea. So they get me clean up as possible. They transfer me to my room. They hook me up to monitors, which they could find the heartbeats when I was standing up easily, which was, the nurse was like, "What?" You should have had me stand up. Mm-hmm. And I am starting to labor. I'm starting to contract, and it's not that bad. I was shocked. I thought that I was going to be on the floor screaming, and it was not bad at all. And people are kind of running around. It's what it felt like.
Yeah, people were constantly in and out of the room.
Because everyone knew that this was going to happen fast. My doctor comes back in to check me. I think it was a 6. Mm-hmm. And then they did an ultrasound to see where the babies were. And it was very fast. Like, I thought it'd be a little more in-depth. It literally was like, yep, this is where it is. Mm-hmm. I thought it'd be a little more detailed, but it wasn't. So, maybe because I knew it was moving fast. Oh, no. So I'm in bed and I'm contracting, not hurting bad at all, just thinking it's crazy, I'm not dying. The epidural guy comes in, anesthesiologist, excuse me, and they start prepping me for the epidural. And I decided to get the epidural because I knew that if anything went wrong, that I'd have to have a C-section, and I didn't want to get knocked out for the delivery. So that was like my thing. Is I really wanted an all-natural birth. If it was just one baby with no medication, but that's just not how it went down. And I knew that it was safer to get the epidural. The guy comes in, get the epidural. It hurts like nothing. It's like a pinch, and I really don't feel it. I remember thinking I can still feel my legs. I kind of start feeling warm, kind of numb. Nothing crazy. They helped me back into bed. What's the time frame between now that the epidural and the doctor coming back in for checking me before moving in?
It was pretty quick.
It was like epidural came in, I'm laying down, doctor comes in, checks me again, I'm an 8. I'm like, what? I'm an 8? And she's like, we're moving fast. And then literally they said, okay, we're going to the OR. I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself at that point, why? Like, this is, it's not, just starting. Just starting. We're going to be sitting in there for like an hour. Like, that's what I'm thinking in my head because my previous labors were longer. Mm-hmm. It took a lot longer for all this to happen. But I guess doctors know. They can just tell when things are going to move faster because I literally thought we were going to be in the OR waiting for me to dilate. And people are going to be looking at me like, come on, lady. Let's get this going. Mm-hmm. They wheel me into the OR, and it's a ton of fun. You're like laying in bed, and you see all these people around you, and you're like, where am I going? And you're looking around, and you get into this room that is not what you expect. It's tiny, and there's like stuff everywhere. It's like a cluttered mess. But it's all the medical equipment they have, and it's like lines the walls with like just stuff everywhere. It's what from my perspective laying on the bed. I just see shelves of things. I don't know it from his perspective.
And people.
And like a billion people. So many people. I have the anesthesiologist over here. I've got a nurse over here and a nurse over here. And like at that point, I'm getting scared. Like it's really real. And like every labor, every point where it's like it's time, you feel fear. I feel fear because you don't know what's going to happen, and you know that in an instant your life is going to change forever. You are going to have two new people in your world forever, and it hits you right then and there. So I'm laying there. People are running around crazy. You see the doctor getting in all her scrubs, and they check me again. I was a 10. I was ready to push, and I was blown away. You cannot understand how much that I was like, no way. You're lying. Like, there's no way that I'm ready to push these babies out. Like, I cannot be dilated. This is not hurt, and I can still feel my toes. So this is not real.
So they had you start doing like counts of 10. Mm-hmm. pushing down. Mm-hmm. You did that not for very long.
No, he came out fast, I thought.
Yeah, it was fairly quick. And they got, I think, his head out and they had you stop. Mm-hmm. And then they had to, whatever they do.
I don't know what they just twist him or something.
Or turn him or whatever. And then they had you push again, and then he was out and on your chest. And
I remember feeling him. He was very warm. And he was really pink. And he looked just like my oldest son, Harrison. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, it's a clone. Like, and he screamed. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, he's okay. And I just was so happy. It was so, at that moment, I had so much joy. And it was like, I felt so excited for my future. And I just couldn't wait to hold him. And everything felt so good at that point. They take him away. And
cut the cord.
You cut the cord. Mm-hmm. And then I asked the doctor, is baby B head down? And she says no. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's not head down. And I know what the options are. He's coming out the wrong way. I'm having a C-section. And, the nurse next to me was like trying to calm me down because, she, I'm guessing she knew just like I could really get myself worked up really quick. And she just kept saying, it's fine. Doc, this is the best doctor. She's going to get this baby out, and you're fine. She kept saying this over and over again to me. She just held my hands through the whole thing, and she was great.
And then you didn't see anything. This is what I saw, and it was the weirdest thing to see. She literally had her hand inside, and she's trying to grab the baby's legs, is what she was trying to do. but all you see is like Emily's stomach just moving and like contorting and like she's in there like reaching in, and it's the weirdest thing to ever see. Something like somebody's hand up inside somebody and moving their stomach and stuff. It was really weird.
I felt it.
Yeah, and she had gotten one of the legs, but she was trying to grab the other leg and was having a hard time grabbing
she couldn't find
the other leg.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what was taking a while. Basically, they have a 10-minute window for between when the first baby comes out and the second baby needs to come out. And if they go past that 10-minute window, then they have to go to emergency C-section. And they pushed up onto that time. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think it was 9 minutes.
They were right there
when they got him out.
So yeah. And let me tell you, when she was digging around for Sawyer, it was the worst pain ever. It beat contractions. It beat pushing out a baby without an epidural, which I did with my first son. I literally thought I was going to die on the table. I thought I was not going to see my second son, and it was over. The pain was so bad. Don't recommend it for anybody. And the epidural wasn't working. Like, that's like how bad it was. Like, I'm supposed to be numb from my like waist down, and I was not numb.
Except for pressure, you can feel pressure.
But
this is pain.
This was pain. Somehow she gets Sawyer's legs, right?
She finally gets his leg and starts.
And then they say push.
Getting him into position as you start pushing.
I start pushing, and it feels different. I can definitely tell you, it feels different when you're pushing out a baby backwards. It is. I can't tell you what I felt, but it does not feel like I felt my other three kids. It was very uncomfortable, and you're like, this does not feel like a baby coming out of me. It just felt weird. So I push him out, and they put him on top of me, and I know immediately that something's not right. He was cold, and he looked really white blue to me, and he was not crying. And at that point, I knew that something was wrong, and they rushed him right off me, and I'm freaking out. And I tell Will, go. I need you to go with them.
They put him on this table. They had a little mask thing they were putting over him and pushing it for air, and they were like washing him off and rubbing his back and kind of trying to get him to
breathe.
To breathe, yeah. And finally,
he did.
He did, yeah.
But
it
was
crying.
It was scary. I can't tell you.
It was a couple minutes between that, and it was really scary.
I was freaking out. We were just laying there, the nurse was like, he's fine, you'll see. And I'm like, in my head, I know what I felt. He was cold, and it did not feel good. So, yeah. So it ended up all being fine, as you could tell. So, he's fine. And I tell Will to go with the baby. So he leaves the room. And now...
For them to go get weighed.
Yes. And for me, at that point, I didn't realize what was going to happen to me. And I didn't realize how much of a mess I was going to be. Because if I knew, I probably would have had Will stay. Because it was more... This was probably the most traumatic part for me. The next 2 hours of this experience after the birth. So Will leaves, and they start getting the placentas out, I'm assuming, because she's again digging around inside me, and it hurts like a son of a gun, like horrible. And she's saying that she can't get it out, and
she's trying to get clots out.
And we're having a lot of clots, and we have to get them out, which I really don't even know what that fully means, because like for me, like there's a placenta, there's baby gut stuff, and
baby gut, not baby
like
gut,
you know what I mean, like baby juices, like stuff that the baby was in, the sac, and your cervix and stuff. But like I still don't really understand like what was hemorrhaging at that point. Like, I don't know what was bleeding so bad. So I was clotting. She was trying to get them out, whatever that means. Maybe if you can tell me. Anyone out there? So she's digging the clots out, and it hurts like when she was trying to find Sawyer, but it keeps going and going and going, and then they start pushing on my stomach. Like the nurse who I told you I'm not happy with. She pushes on me like she's I don't even know, like a weightlifter, like kneading my stomach. And I can't. It is like my stomach's already been stretched out so far. My belly button is deformed, and my body's gone through a traumatic experience, and she's pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. I'm begging them to stop. I'm screaming. I'm literally screaming. And at that point, my hands. I've already had carpal tunnel really bad in this pregnancy. I don't know why, all of a sudden, but my hands felt like a million knives were being shoved into my hands. And I'm screaming, saying, "My hands! My hands!" The anesthesiologist rips the epidural out of my back, which I don't know if that had something to do with it. I wasn't told. But he literally turned me to the side and took the tape off and ripped it off me, which hurt, but didn't hurt anything like what was going on. They can't get these clots to stop. I'm bleeding really, really, really bad. And I'm screaming and screaming and screaming. And somehow they get it enough to stop. But I'm telling you, I had like 4 nurses kneading on my stomach. I'm literally thinking, I'm going to die. It is the worst. Like, I'm going to die. I'm bleeding out. It's over. I'd rather die than feel this pain anymore. That's how it's going. They wheel me out. Somehow they get it to stop-ish. They wheel me out of the ER, and I am a mess. I am literally, I was okay before. I am not okay now. And I am so freaking out that I'm gonna die. And they wheel me into my room, and I say to the nurses, "Don't you touch me. Don't anyone touch me." Because they're all hurting me when they're touching me. Between digging inside me and pressing on my belly, I would have killed them if I could have. They couldn't. I did not want to touch me. I'm screaming. And then my doctor comes in, and I said, "I need 5 minutes. Don't let anybody touch me. Anybody." And I'm screaming, I'm begging, I'm crying, and she says, "Fine, I'll give you 5 minutes." And they give me 5 minutes, and she comes back and says, "We have to check you. You are hemorrhaging. We have to get the clots out." Again, don't know what that means. Don't know why getting the clots out means something. It must mean something. So the process begins again. They're digging inside me. They're pressing on my belly. I'm screaming. At that point, I'm shaking violently. Like I can't I'm violently shaking. My whole body is like this. I'm chattering. I can barely talk. It's almost like a convulsing. My whole body is like clenching. And I'm like, I can't breathe. I can't talk. I can't. Every part of my body is like doing this back and forth, and I can't breathe. Can't talk. And this was hurting really bad, just because my body couldn't stop doing this. The best way to describe it. They try heat blankets. I don't know what it's called, but they put like hot air on me. Did nothing. They did a bunch of things, but nothing was working. Eventually, after I felt like over an hour of me being tortured, they finally gave me Demerol, which took the edge off the shaking. Didn't stop it. And then at that point, I think I'm gonna die, and I'm not kidding. I really thought I was going to die, and something says in my head, hot water. I don't know why. Hot water. And I tell Will, I need hot water. And I start drinking hot water, and it like warms my insides out. I feel like the epidural made me so cold inside because of the heat's for. I couldn't get warm from the inside out. And I started drinking hot water, and it made it tolerable. And I cannot take care of these babies. I cannot. I can't lift them. I can't sit up. I can't think. I'm on this Demerol, and I have to tell the nurses that I can't take care of them tonight. And like as a new mom, you can't imagine not being with your babies right away. Like it's not what I thought was going to happen at all. And I had to say that I can't take care of them, and I couldn't nurse them. I couldn't do anything. And they had to take care of them.
Oh, you just stood up.
Oh,
Good.
a lot? You need a towel? Okay. Daddy can't handle stinky throw up. Okay, we'll have to go because Griffin threw up. Haha, it was very bad. I didn't get to see the boys till 6 a.m. the next day, and I still was a mess. I got my blood transfusion a few days after, and things got better for me. But I do wish that I would have said to the doctor earlier in my pregnancy, let's do blood tests. Let's find out if I got preeclampsia, because I really think I should have had a C-section a lot earlier. I think I would have saved myself a lot. And the worst part about the whole thing is I didn't get any milk in at all. Like, I never got milk. It's crazy to me because I usually got a lot, and I never got anything. It was traumatic. I was going to nurse, and I had to let that go. Definitely didn't expect any of it. But it's how it happens. How it happened. Yeah. So that's my birth story. We want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. Comment down below. And thank you all for watching. And we want you guys to have a wonderful day. Bye. Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone's having a good day so far. I actually have some good news about Griffin. We are just so happy he's actually eating. We changed his